Welcome, everyone. I'm Lourie, host of the Her Health and Spirit podcast and upcoming summit. And today we're lucky enough to have with us Teri Cochrane. Teri is a certified nutritionist and certified coach practitioner. She received her Bachelor's of Science degree from the University of Florida, and she's a graduate of the Huntington College of Health Sciences as well as the Upledger Institute. She also has extensive certifications and experience in holistic medicinal practices, including healing touch, craniosacral therapy, meditation techniques, and herbology. Teri is currently in private practice in the Metro D.C. area, where she specializes in biotoxin illness, endocrine disorders, autoimmune conditions, and elite athletic performance. She is a writer, speaker, and maintains a nationally read blog and radio presence. And don't forget to follow Teri on Facebook for daily nutrition and wellness tips. Welcome, Teri.
Thank you so much, Carol.
Very nice to have you here. We're very lucky that you've been able to spend some time with us.
It's really my pleasure to be part of this wonderful summit.
Thank you.
We don't have to accept what we've been given. My philosophy is if we can ask the right questions, then we can find the answer to why the body is in balance. And the body is an incredibly brilliant machine that's, in my personal opinion, it's God-given machine, and so only God makes the decisions of how it is and when it is that is our final day on this planet. So if we are informed and we go towards that path of seeking to ask the right questions, we can restore balance to the body, and that's what drives my practice. And as a matter of fact, we call ourselves body interpreters. We are the modern-day Sherlock Holmes in asking the right questions of our clients, and also then teaching and empowering our clients to become their own body interpreters over time as we take away the static from their bodies. Because when they come in, and I see people with very significant diseases from cancer to multiple sclerosis to Hashimoto's to Crohn's and ulcerative colitis, the major diseases, diabetes, and there is so much static in the body when they come in. They don't even know. They said, I can eat anything, and it doesn't. I can't tell what's hurting me or what's not hurting me. And when we take away the static by removing the imbalances, they start listening. And as they listen, they say, oh, I was starting to go down this path, and I self-corrected. And so it's so empowering, because not only do we restore balance, and not just in the way they feel, but blood markers changed tremendously. We've had people with hemoglobin A1Cs of 12 come down to 5.8, diabetic to non-diabetic. People with Hashimoto's thyroiditis of thyroid antibodies in the thousands come down to less than 10.
Wow.
And those are just a few examples.
I think this is one of the areas where functional medicine testing, the advanced diagnostic testing that we both do, is so important. And gives us the tools to help people remove the static from their lives.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we've developed a proprietary method that really blends epigenetics and nutrigenomics. So we look at genes and then how food affects genes. And I've developed a proprietary internal methodology through muscle testing, which matches quantum physics and quantum biology, to really look at where they are on that continuum. Where is that person on the continuum of fat malabsorption? Where is that person on the continuum of protein malabsorption, and so forth? How leaky is their gut? And it really helps us get down to what we call the root of the root. And in some cases, the clients that come see me are so sick, we have to very, very microdose. We're talking crushing an enzyme and giving them specks and letting that body slowly come out of it over time. But in most cases, with our clients, we try to get them in and out of our practice and graduate them, as we call it, as the body is able to heal, as rapidly as the body is able to heal. And in some cases, we have what I call a one and done. We have our initial visit, they come back, and they graduate, which is really lovely.
That is lovely.
Yes.
But I've also found that. No, you go ahead.
No, what I was going to say is when they graduate, it's not like they go back to the way that they were, because, again, we've educated them and we've empowered them to listen to their bodies. So it is a process. It is not just, okay, I did this for 90 days and now I'm going to go back to eating my Twinkies every day. We can't do that. Otherwise, we're going to get back to where we started.
I was going to say also that's really important to maintain that protocol. But I found that when people come in initially and they're super sick, you can't give them 7 new supplements during the first visit and think it'll work well. I mean, you need, like you said, microdoses. I think sometimes people need to start super slowly and see what the impact is along with the nutritional changes that they're making.
Exactly. And the way that we have established our protocol is I never even start all the supplements, even in a microdosing level, at the same time. We introduce one supplement, wait several days, introduce a second supplement, wait several days, because that allows the body, one, to accept it. But if there were a supplement that the body didn't exactly resonate with, then we would know. We'd identify it right away. So it is really important to have that very staged protocol.
Well, it's very nice to speak with another practitioner who also believes in the slow approach, because so many times people come in and I have them bring in their vitamins and they come in with a bag and I go, well, how was this introduced? And they went all at once. And I go, so how do we know what worked or what didn't work?
Exactly. And then what we do is when they come back and we retest, we try to get them down to the lowest common denominator of supplements that they need to maintain balance. And if that's no supplements, that's fabulous. But we really do try to see, okay, let's take this out now and take this out now, and we're going to take them out. As we put them in, we're going to take them out, and we'll see how the body responds. And over time, if the body is still in homeostasis, fabulous. If not, then we know we'll need to add one, tweak it, add one back in.
It's wonderful.
Or a couple back in.
So one thing that's become increasingly important to me as a practitioner is to help people see the inroads between traditional Western medicine and the healing modalities that you and I both use, to help them understand that healing is more than a pill in a bottle. And what are your thoughts on this?
Well, again, the core of our practice is there is no one drug or supplement or even approach for everyone, because we each have our own bio-individuality. And so, again, in our practice, we look at what we call the true of you, reestablishing the true of you of that individual to get to their individual truth, which will then allow the body to rebalance itself. And so through the methodology that we've developed, which, again, combines genetics and nutrigenomics, but we also observe the body and we listen. We listen to what people tell us, and we look at their physical body. Do they have a gray pallor? That tells us it's kidney. Are they a little yellow around the lips? That tells us it's liver. Do their nails have white spots? That tells us there's a zinc deficiency. So we are, full body detectives looking at every aspect of the body to understand what might be going on with them. And we think of disease as the end stage of a DNA that's been expressed, and so how that DNA was expressed is bio-individual. And so how they got there to that expression, which created the imbalance, is going to dictate how we create their protocol. So, for example, we now know that juvenile diabetes in a lot of our cases has a viral component, and viruses feed on proteins. And one of the staff members that I have was a scientific researcher at the National Institute of Health that she specialized in genetic researching. And so she comes in our practice and is now a staff member and does daily research for us. And one of the most exciting discoveries that we've made is around these truncated proteins called amyloids. And amyloids are found in domesticated animal products. So what we're seeing is if juvenile diabetes was tripped by a viral load, viruses feed on proteins, actually eating domesticated animal products can exacerbate diabetes.
Wow.
In juvenile type 1 diabetes. And we have seen it. We have now several cases, and in particular this one young man who has been diabetic for 10 years. His hemoglobin A1C was over 11. His fasting glucose was 350. In conjunction with his doctor, we've been able to reduce his insulin by over 80%. His fasting blood sugars now are under 100, and his hemoglobin A1C has dropped 5 points.
Wow.
In a 4-month period.
Mm-hmm.
So, and what we found in this case, this young man, he had protein malabsorption, and he had a strep antibody that was also dysregulating insulin. So how we got to it is going to be different. In some cases, yes, sugar will dysregulate insulin, but if it was an autoimmune condition tripped by a viral load that is exacerbated by feeding the body protein, then eating a bunch of bacon and cheese is not going to be good to help resolve that glucose management.
That's where the beauty of detective management comes in.
Exactly. And we have to know how to ask the right questions. If we ask the wrong questions, we're always going to get the wrong answer. And that's why it's so important to know the body as a whole and how potentially, for example, again, back to diabetes, it could be a stress response that tripped the adrenals to release a bunch of cortisol, which is a high-acting sugar. So until you address the adrenals, you will have insulin insensitivity or worse.
One of the things I'd like to talk about with our audience is after people are placed on their entire protocol and they start feeling better, I see this often in my practice that women come back and they've like let go of this part of it, or they've eaten this and they've stopped exercising so much or whatever. And how is it that we can help women internally take on this as a lifestyle adjustment and not feeling like the victim of everything they need to do to stay healthy and to be healthy?
That's a great question. Well, I think one of the things as women is to let go of our perfectionism to some degree, that it doesn't have to be all or nothing. Either we're perfect or we're completely off plan, that it is really a process and a practice. And just much like yoga or much like anything that we do every day, in order to be good at it, we have to do a little bit of it every day. We have to have a maintenance that we follow, but we can't expect to be perfect every day, all day, and particularly now during the holidays, we're making informed decisions. So in our practice, what we try to do is, again, empower and inform our clients to be self-advocates and make informed decisions. So if we're at a holiday party and we decide to eat that piece of chocolate cake and have that champagne, that's fine, and enjoy it, and don't feel guilty about it, because that's going to hit the stress response right there. So we call it caking yourself. So even if you didn't have the piece of cake, if you were thinking about eating the piece of cake, you've already expressed cortisol in your body, so it's like having a piece of cake. So you're calling being caked without even eating it. So enjoy it. Be mindful about it. Really taste it. Don't just gobble it up and then say, what did I just eat? But, be present with this wonderful, what we call fringe food that you're going to partake of. And then just say, that was awesome. And then the next day, go for a run or go for a walk, or have, a green juice in the morning, or have something healthier, so you don't keep down that slippery slope. Enjoy it and then move on and follow an 80-20 approach, or even during the holiday 70-30. But know that it is a practice. And know that we shouldn't feel guilty when we go off plan, as we call it. It's just that we ate our fringe food, but now we're going to get back into our center lane. And that's okay. And that's how we maintain it. And I have followed this approach personally since I've been involved in healthcare, which has been over 15 years, and it works. And I just came back from New York City. We had a phenomenal time, but I exercised in the morning, which makes me feel really good. I had some healthy food choices, but then I had my cannolis and my German chocolate cake and my champagne and so forth. So it's okay. It's okay. I mean, unless we have a condition that prohibits, for example, celiac, that prohibits the consumption of gluten, then following a daily practice of self-love and acceptance, but also self-worth, that I value myself enough to say, I'm worth following a practice that suits my highest good.
And thank you, Teri, so much for being here. And can you let people know how they can find you?
Yes, absolutely. It was my great pleasure to have this wonderful dialogue today. My website is www.teri, Teri Cochrane, Cochrane.com. teriscochrane.com. So you can follow all of the work that we do in my practice through that website.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful afternoon, and thank you for joining us on our Health and Spirit Summit, and there'll be more coming, so have a great day, everyone. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.